Bykowski with Array Architects, principal and the practice area leader for continuous improvement. Obviously, I think how we deliver these projects, Kevin and Joanne have both talked about so far this morning, really important components that we have to understand what the facility has to do, what the operational model is going to be, and what its future could be, right? That future that we can't predict, because a few years ago we might not have predicted the level of team-based care in a constellation model, which I think is, I'm going to totally rip that off, Sherry, and start using that, because that's really good. So we're seeing a lot of interest in moving away from traditional delivery models, which I think has less to do with whether or not the traditional delivery model is viable, and more to do with some of the constant pain that seems to come out of projects delivered traditionally, which may or may not be the fault of the model. I don't think DesignBidBuild is a good idea. We should stop doing that. We don't like that. I don't think that that gets the owner much value. I think the idea of, Kevin made the comment about the hospital's needs have to come first. And if we only look at, let's see what we can heave into the bucket and hope that at the end most of it is in the GMP, and then what isn't we'll figure out how to fix later, that's a wasteful way to work. We need to prioritize our goals. We need to understand what the hospital needs. We need to understand what the market can bear. And then we need to work together to figure out what it is we build to do that. And I think waiting until the end to see if we got it right is probably not a model we should use anymore. And so we see a strong interest in things like IPD or as Dave mentioned, IPD light or IPD-esque or IPD-ish, which becomes a little bit harder to define. We at Array feel very strongly that IPD is a great opportunity. We've delivered some really wonderful projects for clients using it. We've seen some of the values that can come of it, the idea of being able to open a project sooner, get to market a little bit faster, the idea that bringing some of those trade partners online earlier has led to more innovative solutions and lowered the ultimate construction cost. But at the same time, IPD is a culturally different way to work. And we do see, at least right now, I think infancy is a good word that Dave used, we see a lot of interest in IPD, but perhaps not tremendous understanding of IPD or the implications. From an owner's perspective, the idea of structuring or having a legal framework that promotes collaboration and transparency is seen as really valuable. But it comes with an increase in project management effort and a reduction of owner control up front. And I'm not sure that all organizations are ready to participate in that kind of a free and open dialogue. I think also there is nothing inherently, at least as I've recently read the last owner-architect agreement that we were about to sign, there's nothing inherently in our CM at risk or our design-build contracts that prevent us from behaving like civilized professionals with a common goal. So we could be more collaborative if we chose to be, although there is some interest in the way that contractually IPD perhaps takes some of the fear off of the table from the design team. We've actually had an opportunity to work with some clients recently who are interested in some of the collaboration and communication pieces and some of the transparency, but have some concerns about some of the true risk-sharing components. And so we're actually seeing these collaboration agreements becoming more popular that are sort of being amended to conventional contracts that talk a lot about establishing some of the core team structure of an IPD project and requiring some of the team transparency of an IPD project, and owners being willing to absorb some financial risk by bringing some of those downstream trade partners to the table sooner, but not necessarily moving all the way to the full tri-party indemnification agreement. So, I also don't think that it's a binary situation, because at the end of the day, I think we're all here to figure out how we can build the best project. And so let's try some of these variations on our way to what is the right answer. I was just going to say, Joanne, I think you've just hit a great point, because now there's this great duality you've just described. We must get there faster, but as we've all described, we have less certainty about what it is we're getting to. So we're not exactly sure what it needs to be, but we know it needs to happen faster than it used to happen when we used to know what it was. And so,
very well said.
So that's an issue, and I think that's where components or alternate delivery models like IPD could start to add some value, because we could choose to not speed up front, to go slow, to maybe get to the right answer in a more linear fashion, but then cut some of the waste out of the back end, and still at the end get there faster, but not mistakenly try to cut the parts that are so critical to figure out what it is that's the right next step for the health system.